I'm Dr. Ho. Teach TESOL like a pro. Today's topic, Noam Chomsky and Nativism. The theory that argues children already know more about grammar than we ever clearly teach them. Before we talk about classrooms or teaching implications, we need to rewind to the late 1950s. At that time, behaviorism dominated explanations of language learning. Language was viewed as a set of habits formed through imitation, practice, and reinforcement. Then, Chomsky looked at how children actually speak and said, "This cannot be explained by habits alone. Humans are born with the capacity to acquire language." And just like that, the drill era lost its monopoly. Children acquire grammar rapidly, creatively, and with very limited and imperfect input. That observation sparked what we now call the Nativist revolution in linguistics, the poverty of the stimulus. Chomsky's most famous argument is the poverty of the stimulus. Children are exposed to language input that is incomplete, ungrammatical, inconsistent, rarely corrected systematically. Yet, they still acquire highly complex grammatical systems. For example, children naturally know that "it's the boy who's crying hungry" is grammatical, while "it's the boy who crying is hungry" is not. No one teaches this rule directly. Parents barely teach kids to put on shoes, let alone embedded clauses. This suggests that children are not just copying input, they are actively constructing grammar. Universal grammar. To explain this, Chomsky proposed universal grammar, UG. Universal grammar is not a specific language. It's a set of innate principles shared by all human languages, along with parameters that are set based on linguistic input. A child exposed to English set the parameters one way. A child exposed to Mandarin set them another way. Those grammar comes preloaded, but language itself gets installed later. That's the idea. Universal grammar explains why children across cultures follow similar language development stages, make similar types of errors, acquire grammar without explicit instruction, creative errors, evidence of an internal system. Children often produce forms like come, eat it, bite, to foot. These forms are not copies from adult speech. They are rule-based creations, which means kids aren't making mistakes randomly. They are being logically wrong. Yes, these errors show that children are actively forming and testing grammatical rules. This kind of linguistic creativity cannot be explained by imitation or reinforcement alone. Language acquisition device. Chomsky referred to this innate capacity as the language acquisition device, or LAD. The LAD allows children to detect patterns, infer grammatical rules, distinguish possible from impossible sentences. This process is automatic and unconscious. Children do not decide to learn grammar. Grammar emerges as they are exposed to language. Hence, no grammar worksheets required at age 3. Why nativism shifted linguistics? Chomsky's work shifted how linguists think about language. Language was no longer viewed as a set of habits shaped by reinforcement, a learned behavior like riding a bike. Instead, language came to be understood as a biologically grounded human capacity, constrained by cognitive architecture. This shift moved linguistics away from behaviorism and toward cognitive science. What nativism explains well? Nativism helps explain why children acquire grammar rapidly, why grammatical development is universal, why input does not need to be perfect, why learners go beyond what they hear. Therefore, the brain is doing a lot of invisible work. Totally. Where nativism falls short, nativism also has limitations. It says little about social interaction. It offers limited guidance for classroom practice. It does not fully explain second language acquisition. It underplays the role of input, frequency, and use. These gaps later opened the door for theories like questions input hypothesis and social interactionist theory. Teaching implications. For TESOL teachers, nativism in practice means provide abundant, meaningful input, allow errors as part of development, avoid overcorrecting early into language, respect developmental readiness. These principles later shaped the natural approach, which emphasized comprehension, low anxiety, and natural language growth. So, yelling grammar rules at students won't make them grow faster? Right. In other words, if nativism explains why language grows naturally, the natural approach shows us how to teach without getting in the way. Pros and cons. Pros explains rapid and creative first language acquisition beyond imitation and drills, accounts for universal grammatical patterns observed across languages, highlights the learner's internal rule-based system, supports the idea that grammar development follows stages, not instant mastery, helps teacher understand why errors reflect development, not failure. Cons. Offers limited direct pedagogical guidance for classroom teaching, does not specify how to sequence instruction or design tasks, underplays the role of interaction, output, and instructional feedback, cannot function as a standalone teaching approach in TESOL classrooms. That is to say, Chomsky theory is not a teaching method, but it provides a powerful framework for understanding how language develops. Teacher's role. Provide rich linguistic input, respect students' internal developmental processes, reduce pressure for immediate accuracy. Learner's role, process input internally, form and revise grammatical hypotheses, acquire language subconsciously. Nativism reminds us that grammar is not assembled piece by piece, it emerges. Children often know how grammar works long before teachers try to explain it. Thus, grammar doesn't magically appear after enough PowerPoint slides. That's right. Great language teaching works with the learner's internal system, not against it. After behaviorism and nativism, where do you stand? Do your students benefit more from practice and correction or from rich input and time to develop? Drop your comments below.